Imagine that your fantasy hockey draft is about to start, and so you'll want to enter two numbers into your draft assistant tool. The very first number you're going to enter is the number of teams in your fantasy hockey league. And for our example today, we're going to use the number 12. The next number that you're going to enter into the draft assistant is your pick number from the first round. So I'm going to cell B5, and I'm going to assume that we have the 5th overall draft pick. I type that in, and the draft assistant tool will auto-populate all of our future picks for each round, just as a handy reference guide during your draft. Now, once the draft begins, using this tool is a breeze. You're going to be using it in conjunction with the Left Wing Lock Fantasy Hockey Draft Kit spreadsheets. And it's very simple. Imagine you're on the clock in the first round and you want to make your pick. All you have to do to use this draft assistant tool is enter the rank of the player that you're going to draft. And in this case, we're talking about the actual Left Wing Lock rank, which you can find in your Left Wing Lock Fantasy Hockey Projection spreadsheet. So for this example, we're going to assume that we're going to get the 4th ranked player on our sheet. So I type in a 4, and what you'll see is that the draft assistant automatically auto-populates the columns that are relevant to my league. It tells me what position for the Yahoo system that this player has. It tells me the player's name. In this case, it's Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then it enters the contributions for Evgeny Malkin for the categories that I'm using. In this case, it's goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits, block shots, and game-winning goals. And so now when the second round comes up and it's my turn, I'll make another pick. And in this case, let's assume I get the 17th overall player according to the Left Wing Lock projections. And that happens to be Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers. And you can continue this, for multiple rounds. So see, I get the 28th pick, and then maybe the 37th overall player. And as we mentioned before, as you're drafting in real time, the Fantasy Draft Assistant is auto-calculating these totals for each of the categories that your league is using. And the beauty and simplicity of the draft assistant is that this system is scaled in such a way that the totals that you're aiming for in your league is set to be 100. And so as you're drafting players in your league, you want the goals category to add up to be approximately 100, the assist category to be 100, and so on and so on. And what this helps you do is draft a balanced roster, which is the key to winning leagues that are category oriented. Now, what you'll notice here is that I'm doing fine in categories such as goals and assists. I'm doing great in power play points. But I'm actually pretty weak so far in the hits category. I only have 17.9 points out of 100. But that makes sense, because if you look at the players I have drafted thus far, I only have one defenseman. So I know, just by looking at this tool, again, in real time as you draft, that I'm doing quite well in several categories, but that I'll need to make sure I boost my hits as the draft moves on. Same thing with block shots. And so one thing that you need to know about these inputs that you see here, for instance, the GFSI and the AFSI, that's goals and assists, of course. This FSI system that we've developed at Left Wing Lock is the Fantasy Strength Index, and it's built around two inputs. The first input is the actual fantasy hockey projections from our draft kit. The second input is the specific mathematical weights of each category in your league's scoring system. Every summer, we analyze tens of thousands of fantasy hockey leagues to determine what these weights should be because they're not equal. And so that's it. That is the draft assistant. Your goal is to draft players in such a way that the categories that you're using in your league add up to be approximately 100 across the board.